Starting. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Q&A for the Trans Shorts program for Wicked Queer. We entitled the program Wicked Trans People Living, kind of after the thing that opens the program, which is the quote from Lisa Stephen Friday, which I should have written down, but it's basically, it's the first thing you've seen that you heard said when you watched the program, and it's like my watchwords for programming that I use anytime I make one of these trans programs. And it's basically said, we don't need to like endlessly recap the story of like trans trauma. What we really need, what we need are the stories of people living their lives. So I really, I appreciate that somebody stated it so explicitly, and so here we are, and let's begin. I'd like to have everyone kind of one at a time introduce themselves and say which film and in what capacity they are involved with the film that they are working with. Let's start with Emma.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emma Underwood. I am the director and producer of Transmission, Lisa Stephen Friday. I am a filmmaker and musician living in upstate New York.
Nice to meet you and welcome. And next, Nyla.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nyla Moon, and I am the writer, director, and actress of Dilating for Maximum Results.
Thanks.
And I'm currently.
Say again. We're having a little.
Oh, and I said I'm currently living.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Sorry, my connection. Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, okay. And then let's have Miguel.
Hi, I'm Miguel. I am the leading actor in That Dark Day. I am currently living in Brazil, actually São Paulo, Brazil. And well, to be fair, I am not working with anything directly linked to acting, but I really enjoyed making and sharing a part of my history with this movie, and that's really special to me. So thank you, and nice to meet you all.
And Jasper.
Hey, my name's Jasper Cavalier. I use he, they pronouns. I'm tuning in from Wurundjeri country, which this colonist name is Melbourne in Australia. I'm the writer, director, and producer of the short film Hedgehog.
Great. We may or may not have one more person join us, Abbas Taheri, who is one of the directors for Aban, which is a beautiful film. I hope we get to talk to Abbas. And so it's a more deeper introduction kind of a film, and we'll kind of go in the same order, I think. Can you talk about the genesis of your film and talk a little bit about the cultural climate that was around when you were conceiving and creating your work?
Starting with me.
Yes, Anna. Thank you.
All right. So I met Lisa Stephen Friday. She's an actor, musician, and writer. She wrote a musical about her whole life, but focusing on what it was like being a trans woman in New York in the early 2000s. So she wrote this musical, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the musicians in it. And so I met her. We bonded pretty heavily because it's a very emotional, very intense experience doing this play. So I called her up after we were done and I said, hey, I really think, our stories are so very similar and I would love to share your story with more people. She was really into it. So we talked a little bit and eventually I went down to DC and met up with her for a weekend and we did kind of a deep dive into what it is to be trans in America, what it is to be part of a community, and ultimately how that has changed since the early 2000s, and how more isolated trans people were at that period of time. And so we kind of developed that into a theme of we need community to be shown in this because that is a huge part of our stories. And most people, people hear the same old tired trans traumas. Like that's the part that's been in media for forever as a joke. But so we wanted to tell a different version of that story.
Great. And I love all the music in the movie. It's fabulous. So thanks for that part of it too. Nyla.
Yeah, I similar to I guess everyone else in their story and creating their film, their beautiful films, to kind of like stretch my muscle and like more comedy and like the rom-com and ignore like what does that mean for trans people outside of like disclosing he doesn't know I'm trans, he's gonna kill me, what am I gonna do? I wanted to talk about love and then talk about something that was like uniquely trans, like, or specifically for trans women, violating if you are post-op. And I wanted to like explore that in 90s comedy where it was really visual and really like slapsticky and kind of like irrelevant. And because like I always say, like with trans work, like there's so much room because we've like access to art. So we have like a huge like opportunity to like go back and like fill ourselves in stories, and like tell them in unique ways. And that's what really pushed me to like tell the story.
Yeah, and I will say that like seeing your film in the theater as part of the program, it was really gratifying because people really love your film. They were laughing all the way through. So I've really enjoyed all three of your films, and this one really connected with our audience. So thank you for it. And I guess Miguel, you might have a little bit of a different story to tell as the lead actor rather than a director, but
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pass on everything that the director wanted to show through the video, through the short, but what I can say is how I related to it. And it's like, so our former president was really, if I can say so, a wannabe of Trump. So
yeah.
we were living in a very hard and, I mean, dangerous moment in Brazil because he's very violent. He's very openly transphobic, homophobic, and so the movie passes through that time, and it shows how lonely. Well, we didn't quite share the fun or like uplifting um, mood in that short. It passes on more to how a trans person is lonely well, how can I say, in an environment like that, a cultural and political environment like that, and also because that trans man is gay, and how is I'm not sure if I can if I'm explaining it right, but how lonely he is because, well, in Brazil, the gay community is very directed to the, well, he's, how do I say that? I'm sorry. I remember the word in Portuguese. I think it's phallocentric. And well, anyhow, it just passes,
Patriarchal maybe, or
not patriarchal.
yeah, not
It's
really,
around
yeah,
the penis,
but I know what you
it's
mean.
just very focused on the genital part, and how lonely this man is, and how he tries to go through life with, well, by, he lost his lover, and just how lonely he is in the whole scenario of a very bad place, political situation, cultural situation, and obviously in a community that's not very accepting of the trans man. Um, but I just got really moved because I feel lonely, but in another place. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just a little nervous, and my English is not
It's
the
okay.
best in the world.
Me
But
too.
we didn't offer a uplifting version of a trans community, but we offered a very real part of, um, at least one part of the trans community in Brazil nowadays. And it was just, I don't know, it was just very hard, at the same time very real sensation. I think that's a part of what he wanted to show.
Yeah, that captures my experience of your film very well. So Jasper, would you like to talk about your film on the same way?
Yeah, this is my debut short. I'm still very new to filmmaking. I just graduated from film school, and I knew that for my graduating project, I wanted to do something that had a really bold idea. It was something that I could approach with utmost amount of respect for the process that would go into it and the finished work, which I hope comes across. The idea of writing a non-binary protagonist had been with me for quite a while, and it's reading this quote from Emma's film, the filmmaker subject, Lisa Stephen Friday, about where the people who were just living life, was a conversation I had very early on with one of the actors, Eb, who plays Cloud in my film, about not wanting to have a character whose central conflict is their identity, and just wanting to have a character who has to overcome a problem where their identity is just a part of it. In doing so, you inherently are going to be speaking about experiences of trans youth in regards to my film, but I didn't want that to be the conflict that the person has with themselves. So it really developed over a lot of time. I worked with a lot of people, a lot of consultation with the community, particularly with AFAB trans people. And as time went on, when we were developing it last year, the Roe versus Wade case in America was overturned, and it drastically changed how we approached the potential for using ambiguity in the end of the film, because we thought it wasn't the time to have a young person fall through the cracks of a system that isn't built for them. We wanted to say that community and love and vulnerability can overcome the boundaries of those systems that lock people out.
Yeah. So actually, yeah, I want to second that. That's what I really got out of your film, that how, yeah, that sense of community, that kind of embracing and supporting each other is like so central to your movie. I think that, like, one thing I would say about all of the films in this program, they speak a little bit to like that conflict of isolation and community in one way or another. And I like that so many of the films are celebratory, and even Miguel, your film, the strength that your character finds seems to be well, internal, but also I think we'll start with talking to you a little bit more about what is that actress's name, the Isabel Lenoble.
Yeah,
She's so fabulous. I thought she was really great.
she's great.
And I love that you played together so well on screen.
Thank you.
how, can you talk a little bit about what the process, in your mind, what the story was saying? As she's going through her process of like end of life, how that was affecting your character.
Yeah, I think Fabio felt like um, he was trying to confide in her his emotions and who he was. Apparently, he didn't have a lot of love from parents and a lot of, his parents were not really open to that. They kind of pushed that aside. So he felt like he was trying to have actually a warm place and somewhere where he could confide his most intimate and well, who he really truly was to Isabella. Um, I feel like he was trying to I wouldn't say he was trying to find the love that he lost with his lover, but I would say that he was trying to find love in a certain way, like she was his mom, maybe. Like he was
Mhm.
trying to, put her in that place. But at the same time, he was really struggling to open up. He really wanted to. That
Mhm.
was his dilemma. He was like, I really want to, but I'm not sure if I can. So he was doing that like relatively. I don't know if I'm saying the correct terms, but he
Mhm.
was doing that like little by little, not really like you know. I think yeah, my character saw in her the possibility of finally tr- opening up and be open about who he was and who he loved, and I don't know. That's how kind of how I felt
Mhm.
that my character was feeling about her.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's like very um complementary characters, because a lot of the issues that um your character was having,
Hmm.
Luisa's, the other character's name, was also having the complementary kind of almost opposite issues. Like a mother who's isolated from her children, and also yeah, trying to work through things that had happened to her in her life, and having you help with those and feel. And I think like what I saw was that it was like acceptance that you were giving each other.
Exactly, exactly. So that there was that point also that she also felt like she was abandoned actually
Mm.
from her children, and she found in Fabio also someone that she could, I don't know, maybe see as a kid, or someone that she could hold and just kind of take care at that
Mhm.
moment, even though she was the one in the process of, well, he was the one, he was his her doctor, and he was supposed to be taking care of her. I don't know, it's just exactly like you said, very complimentary, one
Yeah.
character to another in all aspects, as well
Mhm.
as I
Yeah,
think. I don't know.
I just loved that juxtaposition of those two characters, and how how you kind of gave each other what the other needed. And yeah, so I thought the film was beautiful on that level. um Nyla, can you talk about I guess we could talk about, because I feel like I've seen three of your films now, and I feel like overcoming isolation is also an issue in your film, and I saw that in this one too. um and it was so celebratory. Just, you know um all of those things that like might be um something that would drive a trans person more towards isolation were overturned. And I'm wondering if that was your intention, um, if you if there was something else that I'm not catching, and anything else that you would like to say in that regard.
Um, yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head. A lot of my, or all three of my shorts thus far have like had a theme of like isolation and loneliness, because like I feel like currently socially where we are with like transness, like and genderqueer identities is like loneliness, you know? And that's why when we get together, it's such, you see another trans person, you're just like people, because unless we're like really enmeshed with other trans people, it can be kind of lonely. And that's really what drew me to art and creating films, is that loneliness and like trying to feel of lonely through cinema in a way, because it's trans or non-binary for a long time, but figured out what that actually meant, like the definition. And that was like a moment of like not feeling alone. So I think through our journeys as trans people, loneliness and isolation is kind of like, I didn't necessarily want to like only like tell like a sad story, you know, I wanted to tell like a real story. And I wanted to show some wins that we have as trans people, you know, like, and I think that's really important too artistically. So yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head. And I don't know, maybe I'm a little like nihilist, but I think loneliness can be really beautiful, you know, and isolation, it can be really beautiful and inspiring. And that's like that's what like centers my work a lot.
Yeah, no, I get that. The like all three of the movies of yours that I've seen have been like love stories of one characterization or another. Um, I think that like One Last Deal is is like the one that's kind of like in a different context than the other two. It's not a comedy so much, but I definitely, if I'm remembering the film correctly, I think I am, that film like really kind of encapsulated like the struggle.
Yeah,
And it was very powerful. And
thank
so,
you.
but
Yeah.
do you feel like that sort of a film is something that you might like that end of the spectrum of like relationship films is something that you might explore more in the future, or are you more comfortable in the comedy end?
Um, I think on a feature that I ideally want to shoot this year. And I think it's a culmination of like all of the, thank you. I think it's a culmination of all of the work that I've done, because like, of course, I definitely love comedy with my last two films.
Mm-hmm.
I do love like drama, and I love like more heavier themes a part of it. And I think that like this next project that I'm working on will be kind of like a culmination of all three of those projects and those themes wrapped into one more so. And I think also too, like I love comedy a lot, but I think that like it's the contrast of like drama with comedy that makes it even more meaningful to me. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I will go back to that route, but I think I'll probably mix them more together, like a fusion of themes that I've explored and like the feels, I like to say.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's my taste in comedies, is those ones that like had something to overcome, and you know, something to, yeah, that the comedy might even come from a darker place sometimes. So thanks. So Emma, I feel like for your film, your central person in your film comes at um, that isolation um, versus like community from a different place, because so much of it seems to be about being on stage. Um, so do you know, what are your insights about that? in relation to both your experience as someone who is a musical performer and also what you've observed from Lisa Stephen?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the things I think that really makes our working together really special, Lisa and I, is that we share a lot of similar experiences in life, even though we're a little different in age ranges. And for myself, throughout my whole life, I used performing on stage as a way to kind of like hide my fears and who I really was, because I could be whoever I wanted on stage, and not necessarily safely in my own life. And I think that's a maybe common among like some trans people that perform. It's a theme that I've heard from more than just one or two people. So when we got together, it really just became clear that we wanted to show both that part of the story, the part where, you know, Lisa's on stage and performing, and that's a way that she's not isolated anymore. Like she's being seen, she's sharing her story. Because even, you know, earlier on, she was in the band Lisa Jackson and Girl Friday and performing, but she was still talking about being very isolated and very lonely. And where she's at now is it's very different. Like we performed in New York recently, and there were so many amazing trans people in the audience. Like we filled the house with so many young trans people, and it felt like this major victory of community. It felt like we weren't performing who we were anymore. We were performing as who we were. And I can't speak for Lisa, of course, but this is how I felt. And then afterwards, I was surrounded by my community and supported and loved for who I am, instead of having to hide that or pretend on stage for people who don't necessarily understand or get me or want to get me. And I think that's something that we talk about a lot. And as we move forward, continuing to figure out how to tell that story is one of our goals.
Well, it's great that you have not only that opportunity to like center community, like by being on stage with the trans community there, but to have that collaboration with Lisa Stephen and think about ways to continue that and grow it. I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, we we're tired. We don't, if you don't want to see trans stories, tough, get out of the way. That's where we're at.
Absolutely. So Jasper, I don't know, it's like my memory is terrible. I've said that already. I don't know if I've already talked to you about this particular issue, but I found several things interesting in your story, like Briggs' relationship with their mother and how they kind of avoided their mother in the midst of the crisis, and how supportive their mother was when they actually did talk at the end. Can you talk about what may have been going on there that you were trying to get to?
Yeah, thank you for your question. I think in terms of the relationship with parents, in the development and the consultation period, there was a lot of conversation about the trope of children not being able to express themselves, whether that's through expressing their gender or sexual identity, and it being in conflict with their parents, in the same way that there's a continual character trope about being at odds with yourself. We wanted to play with the idea that going home might not have been the answer. And maybe as a young person watching that, you might see yourself going back into that house and feeling as if there's not going to be an answer there, and that it's going to be another conflict to overcome. And we really wanted to show a parent and child relationship that was extremely positive and supportive, because I think that that's the truth. I think that we wanted to use a lot of truth telling in this, and the experiences of the consultants that were on this film, they share a great love and relationship with their parents. I know that's not the case for everybody, but I think it's important to have that story out there as well. So yeah, I think that with that actor, particularly Lily, we had one-on-one rehearsals with Mish, the lead in the film, and Lily really just was able to understand Mish as who they are, through a language barrier and through a cultural barrier and through a generational gap. And I think that extension into the embodied, the living rehearsal space hopefully translates to their relationship on screen too.
Oh, definitely. I felt like there was a lot of warmth in those relationships. I even felt some warmth with the chemist. I mean, he was bound by the laws, but I felt like the chemist was actually someone who was concerned with Brig.
Yeah, that was a really difficult role to write. It was a really difficult role to cast, and it was a really difficult role to rehearse as well. I'm incredibly grateful to Justin Hosking, who plays the chemist in the film, who was able to help me really explore finding empathy in this character who, for the most part, acts as the antagonist, or the representation of patriarchy in this film, that causes Brig to have to reach out to community to overcome their issues at hand.
Yeah, and of course, I just need to talk about how central to my feeling about what the film was, Cloud was. And of course that's symbolized in the hedgehog t-shirt that becomes the title of the film. But I loved the warmth there, and that it was low-key, it wasn't overly demonstrative. And so I just wanted to offer that praise for that character and for that actor who put that across so effectively. Fabulous job.
Yeah, big ups to Eb Papanastasia. They're amazing.
So let's see. I'm a little sad that we didn't get to talk to the makers of the other 3 films actually that are in this program. One of the things that I'll just kind of briefly mention is that there were a bunch of through lines between the films for me, a lot of ways that they were in conversation with each other. And one of the big ones was how Lisa Stephen Friday's film began the thing, and it was a very rock and roll film. And then in the last film, Apayak, how there was a big boost to a big hello and shout out to Laura Jane Grace, and how important Laura Jane Grace was to Apayak. And I loved the way that the Girl Friday and About and Against Me kind of almost the same spirit. It was a really great way to begin to frame the whole program between those 2. And I also how beautiful I thought that Aban was. It's just one of the things I wanted to get to, if they'd been able to come, would have been how the design of that film, because it's a gorgeously made film, the design, the set design and everything. And I just loved how I wanted to explore with them more how the the set design, worked with the interiors of the characters. That's something that we can't really discuss, but I wanted to mention it. And the other thing, yeah, so like I say, once again, this was all isolation versus community and how they work together in trans lives. And so that was a theme that kind of came at the end for me. After I was looking at all these films, that's what I saw. So I think what I want to do here for the last round of questions is what I like to do is, what are you looking forward to? What's next? What's exciting for you right now? So why don't we go around in the original order? Let's start with Emma.
Yeah, thank you. I'm actually really excited. Right now, I am shooting a short horror film based on gender dysphoria as the theme. And the associate producer, Francis Kiana, is coming back to work with me. He was the associate producer on Lisa Stephen Friday. And so we get to work together. I'm on set right now. So we're shooting it this week. And it's really exciting. And from there, we'll see where it goes.
Please send it to us when you get it finished.
Definitely.
We love genre films, like so definitely send it our way.
Sure.
Nyla, can you talk about what's going on now and what's coming up?
Yeah, so I'm working on a feature that I am going to shoot this year, like I said earlier. So the feature is a mockumentary about a ex-LGBT religious group, and it just explores like what that means to be like a detransitioned person who is like still experiencing like the experience of being trans without necessarily being trans anymore. Or actually, because I think once you're trans, you're always trans in my opinion, but I don't know, you have to ask them. I'm not a detrans person. But I really want to kind of poke fun at like in America, like the online social media radicalization of like detransitioned people and ex-LGBT people by the right. So I really want to just like have fun with it and like talk about what their experiences are in relation to the trans community, and how sometimes like religion can radicalize you in ways that you didn't for like acceptance, and how we're all just like looking for like community and acceptance. I hope you got all that. My internet's so bad today.
No, I think so. There have been a couple of little freezes, but I think that like we've caught most everything that you said. So Miguel.
So I am not a director or producer, but if I may express my opinion, it will be amazing. First of all, I really am looking forward to watch all of your shorts, because I haven't seen any of them, and just by listening to the story and the short explanation, I just really please share the link, Diane, as soon as possible, because I can't wait to watch them. And second of all, I really liked that all the short movies here, they express something positive and something smart and something good and something, as in relations or between the inside within the trans person or community somehow. And that's really what I am looking forward to seeing in the next movies and shorts and everything that comes out in the media, because I think we lack a little bit. Yes, we have to talk about the hard parts, but at the same time, I really feel like we haven't done enough um, movies that represent all the good that we are and the positive that we are and all of the best things qualities that we have to offer. So or positive interactions between family, friends, political, cultural, everything. So I really hope that in the midst of all that we have to talk about, that we always spare room to the positive part, because I think out of everything that we are so much more positive than what we are portrayed in the media so far. That is mockery or something bad or something laughful, So I really hope that we can always bring the best part of us or the best qualities, even in all the ways that you can do, that. And I just want to congratulate you all on your beautiful work, and I really cannot wait to see the shorts. I can't wait to see what it comes next.
Great. I will make sure that you get that link. I'm excited about the program and the things that you're looking for. I hope that you will find in these films. I did. So I'm excited for you to see them. And Jasper.
In the short term, I'm looking forward to Hedgehog playing at more festivals across the world and being able to network and meet more filmmakers such as yourselves, and to be able to watch broadly, because I think that film festivals are such a great opportunity to be allowed a window into other people's worlds, whether that's themselves as a person or the context in which they're making. So even in this curation alone, there's so many filmmakers from different parts of the world with different experiences that I'm really looking forward to exploring to enrich my own sense of self. And in the long term, I've just begun writing a feature film that I'm hoping to get made in the next couple of years. And it is employing the same process as Hedgehog would be, using truth-telling to inspire empathy.
That's great. That's awesome. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your films. And I hope to see all of your work again soon. This has been a great conversation. I hope you feel the same.
Thanks, Diane.
Definitely. Thank you
Thank
very
so
much. It was
Thanks,
a pleasure
everyone.
meeting all of you.
All right.
Before we go, can we share social?
Sorry,
you can hear me.
friends.
I'm gonna drop my social media in the chat so we can stay in touch.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Really good idea.
All right, so I'm going to stop recording. I'm not stopping the session yet, but let's stop the recording if I can. Just a second. All right.